Hi. Hopefully by now you know who I am, but I'll make the introduction anyway. I'm Mark Anthony Eterno, author of 30, 35 books or something around there. And I'm here with another writing tip. This one concerns messages in a story. Now, there's a lot of writers, and it happens in books, movies, and some very unfortunate television series, that they have certain messages that they want to put into a story. And that's all well and fine, but they forget the basic principle that the story must come first. No matter how strong or how important a message you have, it won't be heard if the reader isn't interested enough to finish the darn story. My number one rule is plot is always first. Plot is king. Everything else is secondary. That means before you can have a message, you must have a plot to hang everything around. And a plot in which it has to be one where you don't force your message in. It can't be shoehorned. Excuse me. It can't be shoehorned in, or the reader's going to see it and lose interest and go, "Hey, this is just a sales pitch. I'm not going to stick around for this." In fact, depending on your sales pitch, some people may even grow to hate you. And again, that brings to mind a few unfortunate television series. But you have to have a plot in which the message slips in naturally, almost not seen. One master of this was actually Gene Roddenberry and the original Star Trek series. He had a lot of social messaging in there, but it played second to the plot and was worked into the plot so beautifully that there are times you didn't realize that the message was there, or didn't really mind because the plot was so great. A specific example of that I can think of out of the mini in the series was an episode in which they were on a planet of telepaths that were basing themselves after Greek culture. Everybody had telekinetic powers, and in the middle of all this, you barely noticed that Gene Roddenberry had on there the first on-screen kiss between a white man and a black lady. That was his message in there, but you didn't notice. It came across, but it was plot first. So you have to have a plot where the message slips in naturally, and your message should accent the plot, never overwhelm it. If you have a message that overwhelms your plot, that's death. The plot is what the reader came there to read, or in the case of movies or television series, it's what they came there to view. It's what got seats, or got their bottoms in the seats. Uh, if the reader knows that going in that it's a message story, then chances are he'll be able to guess what the message is before the first chapter is finished, and tell himself that the rest of the story is just a bunch of old preaching, and then put the book down, which defeats the whole purpose of why it is wrote the book in the first place. Example again. When was the last time that you had any interest in a movie entitled that screamed "drugs are bad for you" in the opening credits or the trailer? The people already sold on the premise don't need to see it, and the others figure it's a big waste of time because they aren't going there just to get a sales pitch or brainwashing. Better to hook them into a really good plot before they realize what it is they're actually talking about. And all the great classic movies have done this, all the great books. For myself, I've written some really long epics like this guy, a 13-book series where the main point is the plot and entertainment, and that's always been uppermost in my mind. But at one point or another, I realized a particular segment I was reading could draw a parallel to some real-world events, and that happened particularly in Book 10. That's Maldine 10, The Chaos Wars. Hopefully you'll be seeing that sometime. And I realized that the way I had the plot designed, a little bit of tweaking here and there, and I could parallel what happens in our world and get a little bit of a message across. But it didn't interfere with the plot; it actually accented it. So at that point, as I was going along with my story, just a little bit of accenting here and there, to put the story a little bit in that direction. Nothing to spoil the plot or hit the reader over the head with anything. You don't use a hammer where a scalpel is more than sufficient. Just enough to get them to thinking of, hey, that reminds me of something. You know, um, and that's the way. If you're gonna have a message in a story, it should be in the way of, hey, that reminds me of this or some parallel. But they're there for the plot. So if you have a message to tell and want to bury it in a good piece of fiction, remember, again, my number one rule: plot is always king. Throw in the message here and there if it fits into your plot, but do not make the plot fit the message. That will never, ever, ever, ever work, because the reader will see it and recognize it as artificial and forced. If you can't work in your desired message, then maybe you just need a different plot. Oh, that's my writing tip for the day. Um, Again, if you want to put in a message, plot is king. Anyway, good reading.